Hey there, welcome to the betting build. Yes, pretty much everybody you've seen to this point is DFS or fantasy related, whether it be season long or dynasty. Whatever the case, it's usually fantasy. But Taylor and I also do some betting, and we're going to help you if you also do betting. So here we go. We're going to look at the Week 7 NFL slate, quickly going over each game, looking at the spread and the total, and just giving you our favorite bet for the game. And then you can take that to Prize Picks or Underdog or whatever betting site you look at and do as you will. If you want to go get some DFS and fantasy insight as well, you can catch that on our channel at the DFS Build. We already broke down the Thursday Night Football game for Week 7, and more will be out and on the way. If we help you at all here, give this video a like. That'll help you too, or if you subscribe to the channel, that'll help you. You'll get alerted to videos just like this. And if you give it a like, then we just know that we're doing something right and helping you out. All right, let's get to it. Week 7 NFL betting picks. Here we go. Broncos and Saints, Thursday Night Football. We already covered this game, so it should be pretty easy. The Broncos are 3-point favorites. They are on the road. Are they on the road? Yeah, they're on the road in the Dome against the Saints. So kind of rare on a short week. The road team would be favored, but here we are because Spencer Rattler should be playing with Derek Carr, likely to be out once again. And this game total is disgusting with a 37 total. Taylor, what's your favorite bet here?
I think I actually like the over. Like, I know we shit talked this game in the Thursday Night Football video, but 37 is just a very low total. That's a total I see as of now for this game. It's in a dome. I know it's two bad offenses, two bad quarterbacks, but 37 is just a very low total for any game. And I think there's value on the over. Most of the money as of now is coming in on the over as well. 77% of public money, 88% of bets are on the over. So kind of following the money there. Goes against what you'd think about this game, but I think the over is a decent bet.
Yeah, I'm just trying to pull up what I had before, which is all the information for this game and every game, and now it's gone. Yeah, it's gone. Weird. Okay, anyways, money line. Hammer the money line for the Broncos. Obviously, I think they're a pretty good bet to cover. We're going to hammer the money line. If you want a player prop, I would go after a Spencer Rattler interception. He threw 2 picks and almost lost a fumble last week. So, I mean, he's a rookie making his second ever start on a short week against, by the way, a pretty damn good defense. So I think that is a very good bet. And just like we talked about in fantasy, the Saints have been a pretty good matchup for wide receivers. Chris Godwin went full God mode last week. So pick your poison. As far as who you think is going to go off, I would probably go towards the over for receiving yards for somebody like Troy Franklin, just because Courtland Sutton is going to get the Marshawn Lattimore treatment. All right, moving on here. We got the Patriots and the Jaguars in the second game here. This is the London game, I believe. Patriots are 5.5-point dogs, technically on the road against Jacksonville, who are 5.5-point favorites, which that I don't understand because the Jaguars are a dumpster fire at 1-5. And this game total is 42.5. So what stands up for you here, Taylor?
Yeah, the spread is kind of wide. I know Jacksonville probably isn't as bad as they've looked, but New England might be the worst team in the NFL. They did look a little bit better last week offensively with Drake May in there, but kind of after they already fell behind by quite a bit. So I think I would take, like, intuitively, I want to say New England to cover the spread is a good bet, but I feel like there's a reason the spread is what it is. It's worth noting the Jaguars have been in London for 2 weeks. The Patriots had to travel over there this week. That could be some kind of advantage for Jacksonville, I think. Based on where the money's going, most of the bets are coming in on New England, but most of the money is on Jacksonville to cover. Obviously, you trust the money more than the number of bets. So I think I'm going to take Jacksonville actually to cover the 5.5.
We are at a crossroads. I'm definitely taking the Patriots here at 5.5. The Jaguars are an absolute mess. They're one bad loss away from Doug Peterson getting shown the freaking door. Trevor Lawrence is bust central. Travis Etienne is banged up. Like, they're not healthy. They're not playing well. They're not finishing games. And last game, they just got completely demolished. So, yeah, I love the Patriots at 5.5. If you want another bet, the Jaguars have been absolutely the very worst defense against quarterbacks on the year. So Drake May over 204.5 yards looks pretty damn appealing. And also you can get him over 0.5 touchdowns at Prize Picks as well as other betting sites. So I would be betting over on the Drake May props. I don't really want to play with the Patriots running backs because Ramondre Stevenson his status is unknown, and I don't really want to do anything with the Patriots wide receivers because, I mean, good luck figuring that mess up. They have like 4 or 5 guys that could do stuff, but I think May is the way to go. And if you're betting on the game itself, I really like the Patriots to beat the spread. All right, Seahawks are 2.5 point road dogs against. Are they on the road? I don't know.
Yeah.
My bad. Seahawks are, yep, they are. They are on the road. The 2.5 point road dogs, that's not too bad against the Falcons. And this game has a really healthy 51 total. So this looks like a pretty good spot for DFS, and it looks like a pretty good spot for player props and the over. What are you thinking here?
It's hard to see this game not shooting out. Two good offenses, a very pass-heavy Seattle team. I think they want to run the ball more. It just didn't quite work last week against the Niners, but in a dome against a Falcons defense that's okay, but nothing special. My first lean would be the over, even with the high 51-point total. I also don't hate Atlanta on the money line. I know they're favored, but spread's kind of tight. Atlanta just seems like the better team right now. Seattle's kind of fallen off a cliff after their 3-0 start. I think there's decent value on Atlanta as a home favorite, like in the minus 150 range or so. I think I'd bet that over the Falcons to cover the spread.
Yeah, I like all of those bets. I think this is a shootout waiting to happen. I think over 51 looks really, really good. I think the Falcons money line looks awesome at home. I mean, they've just been a different team since starting off. I think they were 0-2 to start. And the Seahawks obviously were 3-0, and they're just like reeling at this point. I just think Seattle had, I think you talked about this a few weeks ago, Seattle's early schedule is really easy. So that's changed, obviously, and the Seahawks are kind of finding out that they're not that good. So Falcons to win, Falcons to cover, and the overall looks really, really good. Also love Bijan Robinson over 63.5 rushing yards. The Seahawks have allowed the 3rd most yards to running backs on the year. Moving on, we have the Titans and the Bills. The Bills are 9-point favorites. Let down spot. Probably not. But, you know, the Bills are riding pretty high after beating the Jets and taking over the AFC East. But they're 9-point favorites for a reason. They're at home. And by the way, the Titans are really, really bad. So what do you think here?
Yeah, 9 is a lot for an NFL game. I had the Browns covering last week against Philly, a similar spread that worked out.
Nice.
In spite of Cleveland's best efforts, they managed to cover. I'm a little skittish about this. Like, I understand Buffalo is the significantly better team and they're going to win the game. I'm just not confident they can cover a 9-point spread. I don't think Amari Cooper is like confirmed playing this week yet. I think the way I'd go is the over on 41 points. Kind of a low total. Buffalo, when they're right, is a high octane offense capable of covering that on their own with minimal help from Tennessee. So I think I'd avoid the spread, and I think I would just go with the over on 41 because it's a low number.
Yeah, it's tough because obviously the Titans are completely overmatched here. The Bills are the better team. They're at home. The thing is, the Titans have a pretty good defense. The Titans are not bad defensively, and the Bills are a little bit vulnerable on the ground. So, like, Tony Pollard could help to keep this game a little bit close. I don't really like betting on the game here. I think this is just, it's a little bit trappy. Like I said, I don't think the Bills are going to lose, but I do think the Titans are live to beat the spread here with 9 points. My favorite bet is just going to be go see if you can find somewhere where Will Levis has over 0.5 interceptions here because he's going to throw a pick. It's what he does. I would even be interested in taking over 1.5 total turnovers because he's pretty susceptible to fumbling the ball as well. And obviously he's not the worst bet to throw 2 picks. So that is what I'd be doing here. Maybe looking at Tony Pollard rushing yards over just because, like I said, the Bills can get run on quite a bit. Next up, your Browns, your baby boy Browns. They're ready to rock for you 2 weeks in a row. Browns are 6-point dogs against the Bengals. I mean, not honestly the worst time to get on the Browns train just because the Bengals, they're turning around, I guess, but they've obviously been off to a very slow start. This game also has a pretty low 42 total. So what stands up for you here?
Yeah, I know that everyone wants to fade the Browns and shit on the Browns every week, and I get it, and they should be because they're a nightmare disaster, but the Bengals haven't really been much better. I think they're 2-4. They've gone 3-3 against the spread. Cincinnati on the road. I don't know if the Browns have home field advantage because I assume their fans hate them as much as we do, if not more. But I think the spread, 6 points, is probably a little too wide for me. I think I would take Cleveland to cover it. Defense is still capable, at least. It's just a matter of whether the offense can put points on the board. Very skeptical of that, but I think it's going to be a low scoring game. I think Cleveland just is a little undervalued. I don't really think they're as bad as they've been. I understand why you would think the opposite, but I think Cleveland to cover for the second week in a row looks like the way to go.
Yeah, I don't really want to mess around with the spread. This is like one of those spots where I don't mind going after a minus 265 money line. The Bengals just look like a really good bet to win here. As long as Deshaun Watson is under center for the Browns, they are not a team I want to bet, in favor of in any way. They're 1-5. They're about to be 1-6. The Bengals have gotten off to a horrific start, but the schedule is setting up for them nicely right here. Here's another opportunity for them to get one game closer to 500 and turn their season back around. So I think just the Bengals money line looks like a really, really good bet. Texans are 2.5-point dogs going into Lambeau Field against the Packers. This game has a nice 47.5 game total. Both these teams are looking pretty darn good. I feel like the Packers are 4-2. Texans are 5-1. Pretty massive game. Obviously, the game total looks nice. I think there's just way too much offense here, not enough defense. So the over is just a smash play for me. And then honestly, I think the Texans are kind of I think they're a kind of a good value pit play here. For the money line at 120, the spread is too small to like really feel. It gives you no wiggle room. Like if they lose by a field goal, then boom, you bust. I think if you're gonna go Houston, you got to go money line.
Yeah, getting Houston at slight plus money is pretty interesting. I think they're somewhat evenly matched. Houston's been kind of underwhelming on the whole this season, but they have looked better in the 2.5 games Joe Mixon's played. He's going to be in the lineup this week. So I do think the Texans on the money line are interesting. The spread is pretty small. Obviously, you can take the Texans to cover if you're confident that they'll win the game outright, but you might as well just take the value on the money line. And the over, I'm with you on that. 47.5 is kind of low for a matchup between offenses like this. So I think a shootout's possible, assuming the weather's not shit up there.
Yeah, well, at this time of year, it shouldn't be too bad, but I would watch out if it rains. But either way, I think as long as you're getting it at the 47.5 total where it's at right now, which I would not be shocked if that bumps, then I think the over is the best bet. And then Houston just at plus 120 just looks like a really good value. And if you want to hit player props, there's too many to even consider here. I guess I would stay away from the Packers wide receivers just because you never know who's actually going to feast there. But across the board, I would be very interested in the overs for both offenses because it's going to be a shootout. All right, we got the Dolphins and the Colts for a just completely opposite game with a 43.5 total. This game should be pretty gross. Miami is a 3-point dog, but I actually like Miami here. Indianapolis might have Anthony Richardson back. If they do, I definitely want the Dolphins. If Joe Flacco's back out there again, it's like Joe Flacco looks really good. So if Flacco is there, I'm a little bit less interested in Miami, but I think Miami at plus 136 on the money line looks really, really good. The Colts do not have a good run defense. So Devon Achane, Raheem Mostert, like whoever could run all over them and set the tone for this game. And I think that's exactly what is going to happen. So I'm taking Dolphins plus 3, but I really like the money line for Miami.
I think this is kind of a sneaky over game as well. In a dome, a couple of fast-paced offenses. I understand the quarterbacks are likely awful. Tyler Huntley and Anthony Richardson, so it's hard to have a lot of faith in them, but 43.5 is a pretty low total. If the Dolphins were at full strength, I think this total would be in the 50 range. So I understand why it's not. They've been considerably worse offensively with Huntley in there, but I think they're due for some regression. They just have too many playmakers to continue to score like 10 points a game. So Indy's a good matchup too, especially for a passing team. So hopefully Huntley can get something going there. I think the over on 43.5 is the way I'd go. I see why you take Miami to cover, given the Colts' issues and considering Richardson is clearly a worse option than Flacco, and it sounds like he's going to play, but the spread kind of scares me all the way around because I don't trust either team at all.
Yep, totally fair. All right, moving on here. We got Lions and Vikings for a huge NFC North clash. The Lions just completely demolished Dallas on the road. So this could be a bit of a letdown game for them, but it's a huge one in Minnesota. Lions are 4-1, Vikings are 5-0. We have a nice 50 game total, 2.5 point spread where the Lions are the dogs. Give me Detroit here, man. I like Detroit against the spread. I like Detroit at plus 114, and I love the over. I think a lot of points are going to be coming up here. I mean, what did the Lions do last week that the sports books didn't like? Like, by the way, here's the other thing: Minnesota's 5-0. They look good. Everything's going well, but they're not going to go undefeated forever. They're going to lose eventually, and Detroit is a very, very good team. So this makes too much sense for me. I love the Lions on the money line.
It's shocking to see. Like, I understand that they're undefeated and they're at home, but I think Detroit seems well, at least the best offense in the NFL. I think the one thing that went poorly was for them was losing Aiden Hutchinson, but
Right,
even
that's
so,
true.
I think the over on 50 is like the total of 50 just looks kind of weirdly low. I know the
Right.
defenses are capable, but in a dome, two good offenses, playmakers all over the field. I don't really see any reason not to take the over, and I don't see any reason not to take Detroit. It's kind of a rare opportunity to get them at plus money, to get them as a dog on against the spread. So it feels a little tricky. Like something seems wrong with the line to me. I feel like the Lions should be favored, and because they're not, I feel like I'm going to be wrong. But I just would take the opportunity with Detroit as a dog and run with it.
Yeah, but doesn't this happen all the time when teams are like undefeated, going kind of? I mean, 5 games. This is week 7 now. So it's kind of deep into the season where a team hasn't lost yet. Don't the books usually just favor that team because they haven't lost? So like that in
And they're coming
itself
off
is
the bye, so in
right.
a couple weeks to plan for it, and they're fresher and less injury riddled. But
Could
I
be
think they're getting
rusty.
Hawkinson back, so I don't know. It kind of
Hey,
scares me, but I think
also
Detroit as a dog is too good to pass up.
100%. I'm with you. Here, the other thing too. Their last game was in London, so they have like the London effect, and then they have the layoff of the bye week too. So Minnesota getting off to a slow start with some rust against a good Lions team could be problematic. All right, Eagles and Giants for another divisional game. This one's in the NFC East. The Eagles are 3-point favorites. This game is a 43 total. We have Saquon Barkley revenge game, a true revenge game going into NYC. So I don't know. The Eagles have been like getting so much heat for like barely winning games. Like I get like their coach is kind of a d-bag, but like they still are 3-2. They still have like looked okay, and they just got AJ Brown back. I don't know why. I'm a little shocked this line is so close. I will say because the Giants' offense has been horrific, but their defense is actually pretty damn good. The New York defense has kept them in a lot of games. So I think I'm going to go Eagles for sure. Minus 166. The money line is pretty darn good for a spot where I would expect the Eagles to win. I would expect Saquon to show out. But I think it's going to be close still. So I think just money line, not going spread here.
Yeah, I don't really think you can trust the Eagles to kind of handle anyone at this point. They seem to struggle week in and week out for whatever reason. Malik Neighbors should be back for this game, so that should give the offense for the Giants at least some kind of boost. But I think the under on 43 is my favorite way to go here. Like you said, the Giants are capable defense. Philly's offense just hasn't been the same. Jalen Hurts doesn't look like the same guy, at least as far as running goes. The Saquon revenge thing doesn't do anything for me. I don't really see the point in chasing the over in a game between a couple of questionable offenses. And it's not like the Eagles defense is bad. I feel like they've underperformed given their talent level.
Yeah, they have struggled against wide receivers on the year, though, giving up 7 touchdowns, which is tied for the 4th most in the league. So you mentioned Malik Neighbors. I mean, he's had 12-plus targets in each of his last 3 games. He's just been a monster for DFS and just for real life. So I think Malik Neighbors overs are very much in play here. So I mean, they're probably going to be trailing, and they'll be throwing quite a bit. So I think Malik Neighbors is going to find the end zone and be pretty productive here. So it's another thing we can do for props. Raiders and Rams. This game is in LA. The 1-4 Rams are looking to prevent disaster. They take on the Raiders, who just traded away Devontae Adams, so they clearly do not give a shit. And they are 2-4 on the road. They didn't look good last week either, and they don't have a quarterback. So this game is gross. It is a 7-point spread with LA favored. That, by the way, though, feels a little bit rich. And it also has a 43.5 game total. So my first instinct is money line for the Rams, but at minus 340, I don't know. But the spread is a bit too thick. 7 points for the Rams. This game feels like a fade for me. The only thing I will say, Kyren Williams overs. Kyren Williams is going to chew up this matchup. The Raiders are not good on the ground. If this thing could load, I can tell you exactly what I wanted to say. And okay, it just completely glitched out on me. Point is, they give up a lot of production to running backs. So Kyren Williams looks really good for DFS, and I'd hammer his overs. And by the way, he scored a touchdown every single game this week. Hammer him on your anytime touchdown bets.
Yeah, I think the 7-point spread is a little insane. Like, I know the Raiders are trash, and they have no quarterback. They have no Devontae. They have a horrible backfield, even if Sidney White plays. But 7 points for the Rams seems kind of insane against anybody. I think my favorite is the 4.5. The semi-indoor game in LA. Rams have had a couple of weeks off. They're only 1-4. I don't think the offense is quite as bad as it's shown, even without Kupp and Puka in there. Kyren Williams should feast in theory. The Rams defense has also taken a pretty big step back. So if the Raiders are going to ever do anything offensively, I think this is probably the time to do it. And, like I said, LA's defense has kind of not been as good this season. So 43.5 is a pretty low total. I think I'd go the over on that.
Yep. All right, let's move it on to the Panthers and Commanders. This spread is even thicker with the Commanders 8-point favorites at home. Carolina's obviously awful at 1-5. Commanders look really good at 4-2. They're coming off a loss to the Ravens, which is plenty respectable. This looks like a bounce back spot for them, and Carolina will just keep trucking along to a 1-16 season. This game also has a 51.5 total, which is pretty healthy. One of the better totals of the slate. So I think the main thing here I'm looking at, I think the Commanders are actually going to cover. I actually like them against the spread here. Their minus 380 money line is a little bit too thick to actually take advantage of. So this is one of the few long spreads that I do not have a problem with at all. The other bet is the over 51.5. This game is going to be not a shootout, but it's going to have a lot of points. This is a very good matchup both ways. The Commanders are giving up a lot of production through the air, and so are the Panthers. So Commanders are going to put up a ton of points. They're going to do most of the heavy lifting in this game, but over is probably my top bet on the board here.
I'm going to go the complete opposite direction. 51.5 seems wildly high for this. Like, unless you're expecting Washington to score 40 points by themselves, I don't really see getting there.
Probably.
I don't really like. They're kind of a run-heavy team. It's just not a team that, in general, you're going to expect to put 40-plus points on the board regularly or anything like that. I understand the matchup's good, but
they did 51.5
seems a little lofty for this. And then I think I would take Carolina to cover. Washington's played well, of course. Their defense, I think, is a little bit overperforming to this point, though. Carolina's offense has been better with Andy Dalton in there. We've seen Deontay Johnson come around. We've seen Chuba Hubbard do a lot better since Andy Dalton came in there. 8 points is just a lot for anyone in the NFL. And I know the Panthers are trash, but they're not as trash as they were earlier in the season. So I think I would take Carolina to cover, and I feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, speaking of which, your Deontay Johnson call, love him for DFS. And the Commanders are what? 5th in yardage allowed to wide receivers. Deontay has hit his 71.5 total 3 out of the last 4 games. And I expect him to do that again here. So I like his over, and we're just in disagreement here for sure. I think, Commanders going to cover and total's going over, buddy. All right, Chiefs and 49ers for perhaps the game of the week in San Francisco. The 49ers are 1.5 point favorites. The Chiefs have not lost. They are 5-0. The 49ers are trying to regroup here. They're 3-3 after winning last week. This game was a 47 total. I think just getting the 49ers at home at minus 122 feels really, really good. KC, just like Minnesota, eventually they're going to lose. And by the way, the Chiefs are not – they're like one of the worst 5-0 teams I've ever seen in my life. They're not that good. They're perfectly fine. They're decent. But they probably should have lost by now a couple times if they hadn't gotten helped out by the refs. So I think the 49ers are going to round the corner here and get above 500. I love them at minus 122. Probably the only bet I really like, but if you want to take them on to beat the Chiefs by 2 points, you can get it at -110, which is a little bit better of a price, but either one works for me.
Yeah, it feels really awful betting against Kansas City and Mahomes, but I think this is probably the spot to do it. I think the Niners are a little undervalued in this spot at home. I also think the total of 47 is a bit low. Like, I know Kansas City's offense hasn't been living up to expectations. I know San Francisco has injuries, especially in the backfield, but two capable offenses, of course. I think the over is the play, and I think the Niners money line, I agree with you, is also the play.
Alrighty, next up we have the Jets. Devontae Adams debuts for New York. He is going to play in this game. The Jets are 1.5 point favorites, which is funny because the lines shifted. I think it was the other way around because this game is in Pittsburgh, but now the Jets are favored. So take that for what you will. I do lean towards the Jets here, though. They are 2-4. They've not looked great overall, but their defense has been mostly good. And honestly, on Monday, their offense looked good. They had 2 field goal misses. They had a touchdown called back by penalty. Both teams in that Bills-Jets game had over 10 penalties for 100 penalty yards each. Disgusting. The Jets should have had like 30 points in that game. It just did not work out their way. The Steelers on the road is not a good draw at all, but this is a game the Jets can and should win if they want to actually give themselves a chance this year. So at 2-4, I think they are going to win at -122. That is the bet, the Jets money line.
Yeah, it also sounds like the Steelers are going to start Russell Wilson in this game, which is inexplicable to me. I do not understand what they're doing. They're 4-2, and I feel like Justin Fields has been perfectly fine.
They literally just won because of him. Like, what the hell?
He's scoring rushing touchdowns. He's like, the offensive line was not playing well the other day against Vegas, and he kind of helped them patch that up.
Right.
Obviously, Russ does not have the elusiveness anymore that Justin Fields does. I feel like this is a disaster waiting to happen. I think the under on 38, like, I know that's a low total, but it's 2 good defenses. It's 2 very questionable. At least the Steelers are questionable. I'm more sold on the Jets now. Like you said, they looked good the other night, but it still hasn't been good all season for the most part for them. Adams should give them a boost, but I think the under on 38 is my lean, and I think the Jets are likely to win.
Such a low total.
I know,
so low.
But are the Steelers going to score points with Russell Wilson against the Jets? I don't
Probably
know.
not. That's a good call. Bargain. Yeah, you're right. This does have the feel of like a 17-10 game or something like that. So you're probably going to be right there. It just never feels good to bet under on something that under 40.
By the way, who asked for all these Jets and Steelers primetime games? Like, I do not want to watch the Steelers at all.
Aaron Rodgers is primetime TV. People, assuming he's healthy,
and most of their games have been awful so far this season. So it's been a lot of fun to watch every week.
Yeah.
And the Steelers,
hey, this last game was fans,
good. But the Steelers are like the worst team, and they have been the worst team to watch in the NFL for like a decade straight. I do not understand why we have to.
They're not a fun watch. They've never have been. No denying it. No, even with Roethlisberger. Not since
like Cordell Stewart were they a fun watch. 30
Cordell Stewart at least made it interesting. All right, 2 more games here, and we're looking at Monday Night Football with a Monday Night Football doubleheader. Ravens at Buccaneers. Ravens are 3.5 point road dogs, which is, again, like I said earlier, kind of rare. Buccaneers are 4-2.
I believe.
No, I mean, yeah, you're right. That's what I meant. They're road favorites, which is kind of rare to be the road favorite, especially against a solid 4-2 Bucs team. The Bucs are coming off a just demolition of the Saints. They put up 51 points last week. The game was a 49.5 point total. I mean, Ravens are kind of like the Steelers in the sense like their games are never fun to bet on. Like the second I buy into them, it's going to be like 16-13 or something stupid. So I honestly would go under here. I think that this is not the most desirable spot. The 3.5 point spread. Oh man, this is a tough game to bet on. I will say that for sure. I think I would go Derrick Henry anytime touchdown. I think that's the only bet I feel really good about in this game. He's just been crushing. Not that the Buccaneers are the easiest matchup, but I think he can get it done. If I had to make a pick here, I would pick the Ravens on the money line, -180. I think they're the better team. They're on a roll. They started 0-2, and now they're 4-2. And the Buccaneers just historically are impossible to trust. They're so inconsistent, usually with Baker Mayfield. But yeah, that's where I'm standing. Money line and Derrick Henry touchdown.
I think I would lean to the under on 49.5. That
Yep.
seems like a very lofty total. Ravens a run heavy team, kind of milking the clock. I know Tampa Bay, like it's two capable offenses. Both will put points on the board in theory, but against each other, I don't know if like 49.5, that's one of the highest totals of the
It
week. I
feels
think I would
really
take the
high.
under on that. Yeah, and feel confident about that. And I think the Ravens team total as well, 27.5 seems a bit lofty. I think I would go under that as well.
Yep, we're in agreement there. All right, last game of the week. We have the Chargers at 3-2 visiting the Cardinals at 2-4. Arizona got slapped around pretty good at Lambeau Field last week, and the Chargers handled the Raiders last week to get to 3-2. This feels like an easy call. Chargers at -148. That money line is a steal. I would run away with that one. By the way, Marvin Harrison Jr. left last week with a concussion. Unknown if he's going to be able to play this game. I would imagine getting the extra day of rest in the concussion protocol gives him a shot, but even if he's there, the Chargers have a good defense. They like to run the ball. They just play like a ball control offense, basically. I think Chargers to cover and Chargers money line looks the best here.
I think I would take Cardinals money line at home in this game. I know they've been in shit form for quite a while, but we've seen glimpses of them looking capable. The Chargers on the road again.
Huh? Have we?
They scored like 41 points against the Rams a few weeks ago, so it's possible.
The Rams, not quite the same.
The Chargers that much better than the Rams? Like it's the Chargers. I don't
defensively. I do think they are defensively, but you're right.
I think the Cardinals as a home dog make a lot of sense, just because the Charger offense, I'm not confident in doing a lot of damage. They're a run heavy team. They have Justin Herbert, yet they've decided they don't want to have him affect the game. They would just rather rely on J.K. Dobbins. So I see why the Chargers are favorite. I just think the Cardinals as a value at home make a lot more sense.
All right, to wrap things up, let's give everybody your number one bet. After everything we went over, what's the one bet that stands out that you would do a flag plant on for week 7?
I guess it'll be Carolina to cover 8 points. I also like the over on Denver, New Orleans.
Denver, New Orleans. What is the total for that? Oh yeah, 37. Good Lord. Oh, what a game to attach everything to for the week. Must bet on Denver and New Orleans. I don't disagree though. I think that is going to go a little bit above expectations. I think if I'm going to do one flag plant, it's probably going to be the over for the Packers-Texans game. Just way too much offense. Packers defense looked pretty darn good last week, and the Houston defense has had their moments, but this game is not going to disappoint. I do like Texans money line there a little bit, but the bet is the over for sure. Also, for just a value play, Lions at +115. Lions money line all day. I love that pick as well. All right, that's going to do it for us. Hopefully, we helped you out a little bit. And if we did, give this video a like and also subscribe to us. You can hit us up for betting advice and for DFS and season-long fantasy as well. Thanks for watching and good luck.